Hey, this is Matt once again. What about the end of the video? This is another paid request, this time for Vincent. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos, topics, reactions, reviews, re-reviews, randomness, out of blueness, what it may be, topic, ranking list, whatever, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is for Nightbreed from 1990. Now, Nightbreed is one of those films where I had heard of it, I've seen it before. I watched the 2-hour version of the film because there was the theatrical cut. There's a much longer Cabal cut. This is the, I guess you would call the director's cut. I assume, sorry if I'm wrong. But it's directed by Clive Barker, who directed Hellraiser and wrote many of those stories that this stuff is based on. And I know when the film was being made, the studio put a bit of their hands into it, to change certain things. And when it was marketed, the marketing made it seem more like a slasher film, because I guess the studio didn't know, well, the monsters are kind of the good guys, and they didn't know how to market that, at least how they see fit. So the film bombed. No sequels. I think at one point later on there's going to be a TV show, then that didn't end up happening. And to be honest, this is a film that I'm kind of the middle of the road with. I don't love it like other people do. Like, if I think of Clive Barker stuff, I much like Lord of Illusions much more than this with Scott Bakula. I quite like Lord of Illusions, and sadly I missed out on the Blu-ray when that was out, and that's my fault. But yeah, Lord of Illusions and the first Hellraiser, even, he didn't direct this, but Hellbound, Hellraiser 2, and Hellraiser 3 I like more than this. It stars Craig Sheffer as this guy named Boone, and this doctor played by David Cronenberg, director himself, who's actually rather good in the movie as this doctor, but he's also a serial killer. He makes Craig Sheffer think that he's a killer, and you don't turn yourself in. But then one thing leads to another, he gets in an accident, he gets in a hospital. This guy keeps bringing up about this city called Midian, who then Craig Sheffer, he has these dreams and stuff about Midian, wants to know more about it. One thing leads to another, he's able to get out of the hospital, find Midian, and finds out it's this city beneath this cemetery where these monsters are at. One thing leads to another, he gets bitten, and I guess sometimes monsters can be born into it, but sometimes monsters can be created, and then sometimes you can change from human to monster. I guess if you're bitten and you're a human once, you can change into a human. Maybe that's why the little girl can change from this kind of a werewolf thing, but into a little girl, but the others can't because they were born into it. Plentiful makeup. I mean, the way Midian looks underground with all these very old-fashioned wooden bridges cascading everywhere. Nice set design. It definitely has that fantasy, ambitious take on it. It is an ambitious movie. You have the grand, broad Danny Elfman score, which I know this score, I swear, has been used in movie trailers a few years after this. Maybe I'm wrong, but it seemed like there's some movie trailers that they used the score to this. Or maybe I'm mistaken, sometimes the score sounds a bit like Edward Scissorhands and some of the other stuff Danny Elfman was doing at the time. So you have this fantasy ambitious part where you have all these different makeup designs. You have a guy who has part of his face torn off. Dud Bradley, Pinhead himself, he plays a character, Lawgiver, which kind of reminds me of the Lawgiver on Island of Dr. Moreau, that I think Ron Perlman played in the 96 film. Forgive me if I'm wrong. One cool design is this porcupine-looking lady. You have this one guy who I swear looked like Otho from Beetlejuice, but it's not. It's not the same guy. But Otho from Beetlejuice. It's not the same actor, but he's got these sort of tendrils with eyes on them, but they can attack people. And various other different designs and monsters. But for the most part, they're the good guys. And they're here because they want to be hidden from the world. So one thing leads to another. Craig Sheffer, his girlfriend finds him there. The girlfriend helps save this little child. She's in the light. She's hurt as this creature, and then brings her back to her mom, and then is much healthier. At one point before that, David Cronenberg gets Craig Sheffer killed and shot up, but because he's been bent and changed, he can't die. So then it makes me wonder, well, how can, like, some of these characters die? And it's like, well, should they die? Because, Craig Sheffer gets shot to shit, or he gets stabbed in the chest and he's alive, but some of these others seem like they die from a simple... Like, doesn't Doug Bradley's character die from, like, a chain wrapped around his neck? And it's like, well, would that kill him? I mean, if a stab through the chest and multiple gunshots onto Craig Sheffer doesn't kill him, would that kill Doug Bradley? It feels like there's stuff I'm missing here, is what I'm getting at. And in a way, sometimes the slasher stuff with David Cronenberg seems more interesting, which... Maybe because I thought David Cronenberg gave actually one of the best performances in the movie, really enough, because his character was so creepy with the mask. I think also the mask with the button eyes. And like there's a bit where he's explaining to a person why he does what he does and what he wants, and this filth, all this filth, and they just make filth and more filth. It's filth making filth and making filth. And Cronenberg just had the right tone of voice and the right mannerisms and that mask, and it felt like you wanted more of the movie to be about him than the monsters. Well, I'll speak for myself. Like, Craig Sheffer is okay, but it's not like his character is really that interesting to me. Same with the girlfriend, she's but I just don't find the characters that interesting. And also it makes me go, why should I really care about the Nightbreed monsters? I mean, the movies tell me I should care, but at times they seem either dickish, or there's even some maybe bad guys in the... Because, like, one bites Craig Sheffer and turns him into it, and I don't know, they don't seem like the nicest guys either. And there's so many Nightbreed monsters that you don't really get a handle on who many of them really are and how they operate. It's cool to see. Looks good on the poster. But you're like, okay, well, what's his character with the face that's elongated and the long chin? If you're to ask me to name 3 things about him, I can't. Same with really anybody in that monster squad, so to speak. I can't name you 3 things about each of them. Oh, Doug Bradley. I know him because he's Doug Bradley. And he's the lawgiver. There's the one that bit Craig Sheffer and kind of wishes he never brought him there. The prophecy, which is to... You think there's a say, but really causes the destruction of the city. Because the last half hour of the film is... the humans, including the police captain and the cops at David Cronenberg, they go to Midian, they find the city underground, and it becomes a big old battle. And that was fun stuff. I mean, to be fair, it was entertaining. Because, like I said, the set design is cool. It's got multiple creative monster makeup effects, and the way they kill in certain ways, and as they stick up for themselves, defend themselves. Yeah, the monsters are the good guys, and humanity, society is evil. So on that basis, you root for the monsters because they're not destroying the city, and I mean David Cronenberg is more of a monster than them, and they go and they totally wipe these monsters out. There's no conversation. So on the basis, yeah, the humans, those are the villains, and the monsters are the good guys. But like I say, you don't really get, I don't think, as much of a sense of their society as I think you could have. Even despite the 2 hour running time. There's a good chunk to get there, and then there's a chunk where Trey Sheffer's in a hotel, and him and the girlfriend leave, and Cronenberg kills everyone in the hotel, and then Trey Sheffer's arrested, and the monsters have to get him out of jail, and then they chase to try to warn the monsters that the bad guys are coming. And again, the 2 hour version, the last half hour is literally the action bit. And even the 2 hour cut, it felt like there were some rough cuts in there. Like, boom, okay, cut to this one. Okay, not a lot of room to breathe. So, I mean, for all I know, all this could be maybe in the longer Cabal cut. But I appreciate it being ambitious. I appreciate it for its visual aesthetic. I mean, the ending is kind of a cliffhanger because, spoiler alert, spoilers, the rest of the monster, there's a big, the battle's going on, they let the berserkers out. I like the look of the berserkers. I think they look pretty cool. It's nice to see them a bit. But I also kind of wish the movie was gorier. And I think that was a note by the studio, is that you can't make it that gory. You can't make it Hellraiser type of gory, because we're not going to release it. And so it had to be a lot tamer. There's a little bit of blood, but not nowhere near as you think and maybe you want compared to Hellraiser. So if you look at it for that gore, there's a little bit with some of the stuff Cronenberg does in his killings, but like there's disembodied heads and things of that nature, but it's not Hellraiser type of violence. But I like the look of the berserkers. I wish we could have seen them really go to town on the humans. Really see them go to work and just like punch heads off, rip people apart, rip arms off, but again, they weren't allowed to do that. I like the porcupine lady. Has these tendrils that she shoots out and it hits someone in the face and other stuff. But then there's this big explosion happens after this demon, who's kind of the Nightbreed's idol, god, whatever you want to put it, says, "You cause our destruction, but we knew we could not live here forever. Your name is not Boone anymore. Your name is Cabal. You will find us a new home, and you will come back and rescue me." So then after everything goes up shit creek, the monsters are pretty much in this one barn, and Craig Sheffer's girlfriend will go find another place. So in a way, it kind of leaves itself as a cliffhanger, as well as this one priest guy becoming a monster and bringing David Cronenberg back to life. So it's a cliffhanger that never gets resolved, which is annoying. And also when you get into the barn, I kind of wonder, well, I see this guy, but what about the other monsters? Like, is the porcupine lady dead? Or is she alive? Because I don't see her in the barn. Is the guy with the tendrils, is he dead? Because I didn't see him die. Or is he alive? I mean, and some of these monsters, like, I can understand someone dying from their head being cut off, but like others get shot to shit and they're not dead. I mean, they are dead, but Craig Sheffer got shot to shit and he was alive. So like, well, I'm missing something, obviously. Maybe the movie told me and I just missed it. I apologize. But why is it Craig Sheffer just shot the shit and he can come back alive after being in the morgue, but the others just shot the shit and they can't be alive anymore? I mean, there's certain stuff like that. Again, Craig Sheffer gets like a stab through the chest. That happens multiple times. That happens once, like in the graveyard, where Trey stabs him from the front. And there's one that he gets stabbed, and Sheffer used that to stab David Cronenberg, like brings David Cronenberg close to him. And that's the thing. I kind of wish David Cronenberg had more of a grandiose depth, because he's such an evil person. He's such an evil son of a bitch. Like, you want to see him get his arms cut off, his legs cut off, or like knife under the chin, through the mouth, or head blown up, or one of the berserkers like, you know, do a Mortal Kombat, smash his fucking head like a grape, or like a grandiose death. And it's not a grandiose death because I have to have him for this sequel that never happened. So like I said, I don't hate the film because it was interesting to see the ambition, the idea of the story. I actually don't mind the Danny Elfman music, although at the end of time reminds me of Edward Scissorhands. Which, I mean, it was around the same time, and even a little bit of Batman, or even a little bit of Darkman. Is it around like the same, like Darkman was 1990? Edward Scissorhands was around. I think, was Edward Scissorhands 91 or 90? I can't remember. But it's very Danny Elfman-like. Great Sheffer, I think he did okay, but I would say, okay, Kevin Dillon, the Blob remake, I loved. Like, think of Kevin Dillon and Shawnee Smith, their love story in the Blob remake. I liked much more of a love story than this. And that was a creature feature film. So I put the Blob remake above this. And again, Shawnee Smith and Kevin Dillon I thought were fantastic compared to this. So, eh. Like I said, again, like some of those monsters, are they dead? Or are they just in the barn but hidden in the shadows? If they died, I don't remember seeing them die. Are we to assume they died off screen, or I don't know. Just, it feels like there's stuff that I'm either missing or it wasn't 100% incorporated into the movie, and you know, some use the words incoherent. I don't know if I go that far, but I can understand the justification. I say it's a movie that I think is one of the lesser Clive Barker films for me. Some people it's their favorite. To me, maybe this would be one of those movies that if you, I can't believe I'm saying this, maybe if you did have like maybe not Netflix, but a show where you could widen and get to know about some of the characters a bit more, like some of these monsters a bit more, maybe that could have been interesting. Like maybe an HBO show. Like maybe this was an HBO show where you don't have to worry about no politics, but you know, go full forward with the gore. But I didn't. Why should I really care about the Nightbreed monsters when I know really nothing about them, and like the other stuff I already mentioned. So that's Nightbreed. I don't know what else to say. With that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.